Welcome back to The Pursuit of Me. I'm Taryn.
And I'm Julie.
And in The Pursuit of Me, we've been talking about how we pursue ourselves, how we authentically communicate. And in this next episode, we're going to talk about today is what?
One size does not fit all.
One size does not fit all. We're going to be talking about just sometimes the expectations that we might have for ourselves or that we put on others. And, sometimes it doesn't always fit for us. So, Julie, tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah, so I feel like in an age of information, we have so much information at our hands, our fingertips, on our phones. And so what happens and what you see is everyone is suggesting every which way to lose weight, to make money, change your career, leave your corporate job from 9 to 5. I mean, there's just so much information out there. And I feel like, it can be overwhelming at times.
It can.
And then you're like, I think I should take the leap. I think I should take this risk. And then you see somebody else do it that and they're successful. And then you take this risk and it's like, wah, wah, wah.
Fail.
Like it's a fail.
Yeah.
Well, what do we do with that failure?
Sure.
And I think I've seen a lot of people try multiple things and failure after failure, it discourages them from trying new things.
Yeah.
And one size does not fit all. And another example is, and I talk about this all the time because this is my thing, but like blow dryers. I see all the advertisement for blow dryers.
Why do you see so many ads about blow dryers?
Probably because I'm always searching for a good one. I'm always searching for the best one. I need a good blow dryer. So
your hair looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like when I watch somebody, an influencer, or even an advertisement of someone showing me a blow dryer, I always know this could work, this may not work.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't work for me, that does not mean the influencer is lying, and it doesn't mean the product is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work for me.
Sure.
And I always keep that in mind. I realize when I buy skincare, I have sensitive skin.
Mm-hmm.
I realize this probably worked wonders for this person that I'm watching on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
The before and after shots, they probably look great. But there is a chance I might get a reaction.
Yeah.
Does that make the product bad or does that make the influencer a liar? No, not necessarily. One size does not fit all. And just because this influencer or this person who had a wonderful experience with this is sharing that doesn't make them false.
Sure.
It doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make them a liar.
Mm-hmm.
They are really sharing their experience.
Yeah.
We cannot deny their experience of something working.
Sure.
So I feel like people get discouraged, just overwhelming of information. And it's okay that everything doesn't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's okay.
So I love what you're saying. And I think we can all relate to that. I mean, there's probably all kinds of products that you guys out there have tried that's worked for you, that's not worked for you. But let's kind of translate that to the workplace. So if we think about one size does not fit all, what does that look like in a workplace? Is it related to communication? Or is it a scenario? What are your thoughts with that?
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind is you didn't get the promotion, right?
Ouch. Yeah.
You didn't get the promotion. And you're kind of wondering, you've done your time, you did all the things. Yeah. What makes this other person better or more qualified? And to soothe our own wounds, right? We want to be like, they had connections or whatever it is, whatever excuse it is, they're friends with so-and-so. And that could be. And we know that happens in corporate America. But the other part of it is, was that a good fit?
Mm-hmm.
Did you just pick that promotion or you felt like you should apply for that because it was a good next step for you?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it really align with your traits? Like,
right.
Is there another direction we need to be going in to really strengthen the attributes and really use what you have? You know? And I think we don't think about that.
Sure. Well, and like on The Pursuit of Me, what we're talking about is being authentically you. Like, is that promotion, is that job for you? Or does that just look like the thing that you should be doing?
Correct.
And so I think that also goes along with risk. Like what I might risk for that next thing might look different than what you might.
Correct.
Right?
So if a job is requiring 60 hours of your week, well, if you've got kids in ball and you're wanting to make recitals, 60 hours a week may not be a good fit for you in this season.
Sure.
Right? Or it may be better fit for somebody who is single, maybe. We don't really know. So it's just a matter of understanding, what is this a good fit for me right now? Mm-hmm. And so and it's not a failure, your inability to not get that. And so what happens is I see people who take risk, feel like it didn't amount to anything, so they stopped taking risk.
Right.
And then you see a stagnation.
Yeah.
In their employment.
So what you're saying is almost like taking a risk is kind of a healthy thing.
I think risks are very healthy. I think risk, if you can take risk and fail and continue to take risk after that, that is a healthy, that's a very, you always see, I want to give credit to whoever I heard this say this, but I think it was on TikTok. Somebody was saying the difference between very successful people and unsuccessful people is their ability to constantly take risk and fail.
Right.
So in their story of their life, they have more failures than they have successes. It's just that one time it succeeded, it did really well. So risks are healthy. And I think we're taught play safe.
Well, and the thing is too, like if you think about social media, we see people's successes. We see the highlights. We don't always see the failures. We don't always see the behind the scenes. And I think as folks are watching and listening now, they may not have seen the hours and the sweat and the tears that went behind, some of the episodes that you're listening to or watching today. And that's the case for any type of hard work or hard effort is there's always things behind the scenes that we don't see. And so I think we need to take that into consideration because like you said, one size doesn't fit all, but we're not seeing the risk that someone else might be taking.
And that's why you see, people buy programs to become better at what they do or, get rich or whatever it may be. But it works for some people. So they have these testimonials.
Sure.
But it's not working for everybody.
Yeah.
That just means it's not a good fit. It may not necessarily mean it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a scam. I mean.
Take this supplement.
Yeah. But here's my thing. Here's my thing with this. I watched something on TikTok and someone's like, do intermittent fasting. You're going to lose the weight. And I'm like, this is it. There's science. Is my thing. Science is backing this. Like, this is going to work. Like, this is going to be my thing. And so I try intermittent fasting and, I have to eat clean. Like, I have to eat pretty clean. So, I'm eating salad, I'm doing my intermittent window and I'm like, I'm not feeling so hot, but this is going to work. Like, this is just growing pains. I'm going like 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, losing very minimal weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like this is, and of course I'm doing intermittent fasting. So my husband's like, well, since you're only eating in that pocket, I might as well eat in that pocket too. Cause I can't, he's got to cook otherwise. So he doesn't want to cook. So he starts doing intermittent fasting and like loses 40 pounds. 40 pounds.
Yeah. And that wasn't even his plan.
No. And then in his window, he's eating like pizza and crumble cookie. And I'm like, salad. I just was like, how is this happening? Like, why is this happening?
Were you angry with him?
Not with him. But I question.
You're angry that it worked for him.
I question the intermittent fasting process.
Sure.
I'm questioning the science.
Yeah.
And I just was like, how is this happening? Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
I should be happy for him, but I'm still eating salad with grilled chicken.
Yeah.
So why did that not work? It works. Him doing intermittent fasting shows me it works.
Yeah.
But it did not work for me. So like there can be a frustration when we're seeing other people do things in the corporate in the corporate scene, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to follow the same path.
Right.
But it may not be the best path.
It might not be the path for you, right? Based on your skill set, your strengths, or areas that you want to develop on your own. So your path might look different than theirs. And just because it's like, okay, this is the normal channel of, of progression, it might not necessarily be your path.
Sure. And people not understanding that is why we have bad managers.
Oh, come on. Let's talk about that.
Someone's tenure at a company does not qualify them to manage and develop people. That requires a specific group of just developmental characteristics to become a great developer of people. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have room at that company to do something else.
Sure.
But I just feel like, if you have loan shark qualities, you shouldn't be a manager and be getting all the new employees that don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think that's where we're seeing that. And I think, someone has told me this, well, they're a nice person. They're a nice person. Sure. And because they're a nice person, we're going to make them a manager. And I said, that team will struggle. This person lacks what is needed to help develop somebody, to help them be better at what they're doing and be confident in their positioning. And so that's why you see it, and so there's because there's not other pathways companies are making other than manage these people, but there are other things that I think people need to be looking into. And so what companies will ask for development is, what do you want to do? But there is a chance that what you are good at, you may not even know exists in your company as a position.
Well, and I think the other thing too is, as an employee, you might suggest yourself even for what might look like the right progression to take, but it may not necessarily be for you. It's because you're maybe unaware of what are your own skill sets, your strengths, and be able to identify that path for yourself. And so that just goes back to development. It's like you kind of need the right leaders to help coach you and develop you for yourself to figure out what that path looks like.
Yeah, and then it looks like when we do things and start things and it looks like failure, the world does not reward failure, right? Yeah. Like when somebody starts a business and it's failed, we just automatically assume they're just not they're not business minded. They don't really need to have a business. But really, what it's showing is if you start again and you start again, there is a learning process that happens. Now, if you're making the same business mistake over and over again, that's a completely different story. But we don't like failure. We don't like...
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. And think about doing it multiple times. And now on social media, we promote our businesses on social media. Now you got to share that you failed on social media. We are sorry to announce we're closing, or, we're sorry we're no longer exist, whatever that looks like. But we don't as a society, we don't embrace that. And so if the role of the next role or position is safe, is a safe path, even if you're not good at it, people apply for it because it's what everybody else is doing. And it's a safer path. It's not as risky as the other ones.
Right. I think one thing that we need to highlight too is our capacity, right? Which you touch on this too. Like if you're a mom and you've got kids that are in soccer or recitals or whatever, you may not be able to be available for the 60 hours plus a week. But I think it's just important to talk about our capacity as we consider what are the risks that you're willing to take, or what is it you're wanting to pursue? Do you currently have the capacity to do that? Because ultimately, if you're contributing on the team, you need to understand, are you available? Right? Are you available to the people? Are you available to take on that workload?
And creating healthy boundaries with that capacity. I think we've come away from the days where people are missing their kids' recitals. We want to be there.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss it. We don't want to be at a work event. Nobody wants that. And so when you're thinking about a promotion or a change in position, what you're really thinking about is, what do I have going on outside of work right now that's taking my time? That's a priority to me. What are anything else that's a priority? Is getting home at a certain time a priority? Is working from home after you get home a priority? What are those things? Weigh those things out. Because I think you can find yourself, you're like, you know what? Based off what I'm seeing, the description for this job, I don't have capacity in this current moment to step into this.
Sure.
And that's okay. I think that's a healthy place for someone to be, because they understand what they're capable of doing. And capacities change through seasons.
Right.
As seasons change in your life and things change in your life, capacity will change. And that could even be health. Your spouse might be going through or your child might be going through, or your parent might be going through a health situation, and they're pulling on you a little bit more doctor's appointment. Look, hey, I think this is not best time for me.
Yeah.
I've got a lot going on personally. This is not healthy for me to step into this. A new role requires a learning curve, and it takes time and capacity. And one of the, policies I have in my own life is, if I'm taking on something new, I give away 2 things I'm already doing. So so good. Yeah. So if I can't give away 2 of the things I'm already doing,
just taking too much, right?
Taking it too much. It may not even be your personal life. It could also be a mental capacity.
Yeah.
Right? Stresses of life can also lead to a place of not being able to take more on. So what does that kind of look like? It could look like you have to make some big decisions. There may be a move. There may be family members pulling on you for things. So capacity is just not about your personal capacity. It has to do in relation to other things that are going on too. There's some people, that stay, and we talked about this. There's some people that stay at the same job for 25 years. And we were like, that's crazy. I could never do that. The thought of even staying at somewhere, doing the same job every single day.
I can't.
But, you know, like I know some of those people, and you know what they do? Their purpose in what they do is outside the workplace.
Yes. And so I love that you're saying purpose, because that's where I wanted to go next is I will say organizations, I feel like over the last few years, I am seeing more organizations have a better understanding to have that flexibility for employees, because I think it's needed. And the reality is that companies are having a harder time finding talent. And so they have to have that flexibility. And the other part is, you know, considering your capacity, but also looking at your risk. If you're wanting to make a job change or whatever that looks like for you, is especially with what we're talking about in Pursuit of Me, is what is my purpose? Where do I want to spend my time? You guys as viewers, as listeners, where do you want to spend your time? What is your purpose in life? And hopefully as we continue to have more of these discussions and we go together and grow together and identify some of these areas, hopefully this is a path to help you understand more and more of what your own purpose looks like in your life. Because I know for me too, it's like, you know, you and I have made some changes over the last couple of years, and it just really makes it just impacts really every area of your life, because you start realigning, like, what do you value? What are your priorities in life?
And where are those priorities taking you? If there's a destination you're trying to get to in life, whether it be freedom of time, right? Freedom of being able to not be tethered down to a certain city, you know, just travel. We've talked about that, just the freedom for that. Those type of things are very high priority to people.
Sure.
And for where they're going. So they're making those small steps. There's some risk involved. And so what you're going to do is based off what you feel like your purpose is and how you can live your best life, what risks are the healthy risks? What are the healthy risks that I need to be taking? And you might be content at the same job for 25 years. That's wonderful.
Sure.
Because most of those people have purpose outside. And they're focused on, and this is just a means to an end to get a paycheck. And that's awesome too, because they found their purpose as well.
Right. And it's like what we're saying, which is one size does not fit all. So if you're out there listening and you know, you're wondering like what it is that you might want to change, your change might look different than the next, and that's completely okay. But as we continue to journey together in the pursuit of me, it's a conversation. Maybe you want to drop a comment. Maybe this resonates with you. Like this, share it with a friend or with a colleague. Subscribe to the channel to stay plugged in with more content that we put out there. But we want to hear from you. You know, what are the things that you've experienced in your workplace or even just day-to-day life where you've tried something and it's just failed, but you've tried it again and maybe it's gone better? We want to hear those types of comments from you.
Yeah, the failure stories are the stories that really help other people kind of push through areas they're in. The failure stories are the success stories. There's lots of them around because social media includes them, but the failure stories we'd love to hear because it does develop something in people.
Thank you so much for joining with us on The Pursuit of Me.